What's up, everybody? Welcome to a Hiya Toys review. Today we're reviewing a long overdue figure. This is number 10, aka the giant Skullcrawler from Godzilla vs. Kong. He only lasted 10 seconds because he was the test subject for Mechagodzilla. Regardless, this Skullcrawler is a lot bigger and looks a little bit different from the Skullcrawlers from Kong Skull Island. So this is a new Titan in a way. Granted, there was not much of him, but it was cool to see a bigger, different Skullcrawler. And Hiya Toys has created a figure for that, and this one just released a couple weeks ago this year. Very nice, and a lot of people were very, very happy to see this one coming. There was also the Skull Island Skullcrawlers that Hiya did a couple years back. I don't have it, so this is my very first Skullcrawler by Hiya Toys. Alright, first and foremost, the box. I'll have you know, this box is actually bigger than Godzilla's. Like, here's Godzilla's box. This is like a standard size. And then here is the Skullcrawlers. It's longer. You don't even see it. If I stack it on top, you can see, yeah, it's a longer box. But obviously, does that mean the figure itself is bigger than Godzilla? Well, we'll find out in a second after we open said box, but let's look at the box first. So, we have a shot here of number 10 coming out of the Apex holding cell, about to, you know, at least in the Skullcrawler's mind, to feed on Millie Bobby Brown and the other people until Mechagodzilla snatches him up to be executed. We have a really nice font here for the Skullcrawler word itself. That's a really nice, like, rustic, almost graffiti-like font there. That is actually pretty solid, I'm not gonna lie. Choking hazard stuff, Hiya logo, movie logo, Monsterverse logo. Here's the side, here's the other side, here's the bottom, here's the top, and then the back has all the info that you need, all in Chinese, of course. And then we have some other shots of the Skullcrawler itself. So, that being said, that is pretty much the box. I don't think there's anything else I need to show here. Let's get this guy out of the box. Let's open this. Alright, and it's been taken out of the box. Now, the last time I had a toy or a figure of this Skullcrawler was back in 2021 with the Playmates Toys Skullcrawler. And this was before the movie came out, keep in mind. So when everyone saw that there was a red Skullcrawler that Playmates made, everyone thought, oh my god, the Skullcrawlers are making a comeback in the movie. Having no idea how little contribution this guy would actually have in the movie, but people were excited. It's been a hot minute since I had a Skullcrawler figure myself. This is literally my second one. Now, the reason why the box is so long is because of the long, super long tail of the Skullcrawler here. That's it. The tail is the reason why the box had its length. And if you're wondering how big exactly is this guy, well, he's not as big as Godzilla. Godzilla still towers over him, and in a realistic fight, Godzilla would probably whoop his butt very, very easily. And I also got the female Mewtwo here. I mean, the Mewtwo is actually, I would say the Mewtwo is smaller than the Skullcrawler here. I didn't open the Godzilla vs. Kong yet, actually, but I do have the Kong Skull Island Kong that Hiya Toys put out, and yeah, this seems about right. This matchup seems about right. And finally, but definitely not the least, we have Mechagodzilla here. This is, of course, the SH Monster Arts Mechagodzilla, because Hiya Toys has still yet to make a Mechagodzilla of their own. But, of course, this is the iconic scene. Mechagodzilla takes this guy to test his new proton scream to immediately execute the poor guy. Now, remember, the price tag on this guy is actually very cheap. He's only 70 Canadian dollars. That Mechagodzilla I pulled out was almost 300 when I bought it back then. But does price really matter? Well, in terms of Hiya's case, they're actually able to balance affordability and quality and that has been consistent throughout all the figures that they've been making. To review this actual Skullcrawler, I have to look at it with the money that you pay for. And even though I do that for pretty much every other figure, this one has a special case because keep in mind, there's not much to offer for a Skullcrawler. It's a very straightforward design when you think about it. This is what you get. And the only accessory included is an additional tongue. If you want a longer forked tongue, you can swap out the tongue inside his mouth and put this piece on. That's it. That's the only accessory. Honestly, I couldn't care less about this. It's just a tongue. Immediately, the glossiness was noticeable, and it came to my mind like, wow, this guy actually looks like he dipped himself in skincare lotion or something. I don't know how well the camera picks it up, but it's very obvious. It's very noticeable. And the gloss continues throughout all his back, to his head, to even his legs, and to his claws. Now, is that a bad thing? No, it does not. It reflects light off very, very nicely. It does contrast it very well. So I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I will say it is very noticeable. Is that necessarily a problem? I don't think so, but some people just like the serrated roughness of a lot of the monsters, that the way the movies depict them. I can see why some people may not like this, the glossiness, but to me, it's a minor detail. This is, of course, following like the Apex headquarters kind of design. Apex is using a red color. It is like a cybernetics company after all, so I guess the way they bred these Skullcrawlers is after the theme colors of the company. So they've done it pretty well here. They've got a little bit of orange and yellow fading out at the ends there. I don't know how well you can see it, but in a way, it almost looks like they are the colors of fire. Fire is, you know, lighter on the edge, but then it gets more orange and red as you progress to the middle. That feels like the concept that they're going for here in terms of these colors. It's consistent too. It continues throughout the tail, this very long tail, and it slowly fades out to these. It almost looks like a shark fin, or those swordfish. It looks like a swordfish horn. On the bottom of the figure, you have this more almost pink, but at the same time leaning more a little bit to the brown side, so this dark pinkish undercolor, let's say that. But then as you get to like the jaw and the neck, it becomes this like green color. So I wouldn't say the coloring is off, because the transitioning is actually decent because of the glossing. It's not the worst thing in the world. I've seen worse. And under his feet, you can see you have the brown, also very glossy underneath. Other bits of colors, you have fades of red going throughout the arms. You have an elbow spike here that's also tipped with red, and then the same can be said with this side as well. And then you have the overall gunmetal gray color scheme, but that also fades into the very obvious red on his forehead, and then his snout nose turns into the yellow color scheme, as well as the bottom of his jaw here. And of course, Skullcrawlers have what I like to describe as a killer whale facial feature, because killer whales, their actual eyes are at the back, and then they're like spots or moles. A lot of people actually sometimes misinterpret that as the actual eye. And I think that's the same thing with the Skullcrawler here. The nostrils look more like the eyes than his actual eyes, which are right here. The actual eyes are here. But if you look at on first glance, you'll be like, oh, those are where the eyes are. You can easily misinterpret that. Now, what about articulation? Well, you can see from this long tail and everything else, you would think, there's probably not a lot of articulation, right? Well, there is some, and there isn't a lot, but the main one is this tail, where it's the most restricted, because this entire tail piece moves on its own. There's no other additional joints at the tail piece itself. So the latest ball socket is here. So you can really just move this. That's about it. But then you have another ball socket here, ball socket in the main body, so you can, you know, do some twisting if you want, reposition some of his poses. His neck has a lot of articulation though. I do appreciate that. Look at that. Lots of articulation. He's like looking down here, looking up here. That is good range of motion there. Look at that. He's literally it literally looks like he's looking down at a human or something. And then you move up, he's looking forward. And as you saw, the mouth has a very, very strong concept, or very strong gear system going on. Because when you open the mouth, both underbite and overbite opens together simultaneously. It's like there's like a spring connecting them together or something. They just open in unison. Look at that. That is very good. I'm very impressed that Hiya was able to do that. They didn't need to do that for a lot of their wide mouth titans as well, but that is so cool. That is so cool. And it's also very efficient too. Just look at this. Oh my goodness. And that's his original tongue with the other tongue that's included as the accessory. You can replace his tongue for the forked tongue, which I'm not going to do. The final bit of articulation is, of course, his two legs here. Lots of articulation here, actually. So you can see he can fold this out, fold this out. Another point of articulation at the knees where the elbow specs are. Kind of tilt that back as well. Kind of do the same here. Look at that. Very nice. Good range of motion here. You can twist the legs here, actually. So let's pretend this is like his shoulder piece. You can twist the leg here as well. That's pretty nice. So that's another point of articulation. Lots of range of movements for his two legs here, which is nice because these are his only two legs. That's it. He doesn't have any other supporting limbs. And then at the bottom here, you can see you can twist and move up and down his ankles. That looks very nice, very efficient. And then the claws itself do not have articulation. There's a very big piece of feet, let's just say that. But look at that. You can pretty much articulate all the way back. It's not bad. Is this better than Playmates? Oh yeah, absolutely, by a long shot. This is $70, 70 Canadian, so it's not too bad in the long run. You are getting what you paid for. Of course, SH Monster Arts is high quality, but it carries that expensive price tags. Hiya is able to just find that balance. I'm gonna give number 10 here an 8 out of 10. Maybe you could include some ball sockets and this long tail here just to give the tail a little bit more range of articulation, because you're just kind of, it looks like he just has a stiff tail at the end. And that kind of limits posability and articulation as a whole. But apart from that, I am very impressed with the Skullcrawler. Good job, Hiya Toys. Good job. This is probably the best Skullcrawler figure I've gotten. And I don't have a lot of it, so I guess that might be a little biased. But so that's all I gotta say for the Skullcrawler from Godzilla vs. Kong. A very clean figure, might I say. Hiya absolutely cooked. And so far, even with all the previous figures and their upcoming figures, I am always leaving a review satisfied. I have actually never really thoroughly complained once about a Hiya Toys thing. They have been just nailing it. I'm very impressed. This Skullcrawler is a great example. And it's a great example of taking another character that's not Godzilla or Kong and turning it into a good quality toy. So, I am satisfied. You should definitely get the Skullcrawler if you have the chance. So that being said, thank you so much for watching. Check out the other Hiya Toys reviews I've done, including the ones I've compared the Skullcrawler with in this video, and of course, the SH Monster Arts Mechagodzilla. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more. For now, I'm gonna call it here. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next review. Peace!